Thank you very much. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
I'm going to have problems modulating because I'm not used to using a microphone, and I might speak too loud, so we're going to try and do this. So if you can't hear or it's too loud, wave your hands. Help me here, okay? I need all the help I can get. All right. Today, I was asked, and I'm not sure who decided this was a good idea to bring me here today. After I'm done, whoever it was may decide they don't want to take credit for it, so we'll see. I was asked to keynote this leadership conference. I'm not quite sure why, maybe because of the official position as one of the directors of the leadership program. And I tried to think about this from your perspective and what maybe you would like to know. And I struggled with it for a while. I didn't want to come in and do some abstract crap for you. I wanted to come in and do something real. I also wanted to come here and challenge you. You look way too comfortable to me, folks. Okay? So I want to come here and be a little rock in your shoe. So when you walk around and talk around and think you know what leadership is, there's this little Richards rock in your shoe saying, well, maybe that's not quite it. All right? So we want to be a rock in your shoe. What I thought might best do this was to give you a picture of two student leaders I know who came from Ambrose, who began their understanding of what it meant to be a leader here on this campus. It wasn't quite as big then. And who went on in life to lead lives of exemplary public service in two different paths. And who did it in two different ways, but who were each equally effective or more effective because of the ways they've chosen. And so we wanted to present a picture of who they were and see if we couldn't get you to maybe identify with them and say, I understand what that might be like. Maybe. Maybe. But maybe that's the rock in the shoe. I don't know. Both of these men were my friends. I love them deeply, and they me. This is not a tell-all for a couple of reasons. One, we don't have time to tell it all. Two, some of the tell-all is none of your damn business. Three, a lot of it isn't relevant to what we're about today. So I'm going to stick to the leadership and public service message. So you're not going to hear anything about them or too much about them personally. So not much family stuff. That does not mean that these two guys didn't think family was important. It was critically important to them. It's just that it's not relevant for today. All right? So that's how we're going to do this. Okay. Let's see. Where's my clicker? Here we go. The first guy we're going to talk about, his name is Joe Smith. How much more generic does he get than Joe Smith? Oh, by the way, I'm doing an hour, okay? So whatever the schedule says, tear the schedule up. Richards is doing an hour, and then we'll do what's after that, okay? It took me 40 hours to prepare this. That's no joke. So if I'm not doing an hour, I'm doing an hour whether you stay or not, okay? If I've done the material, I'm staying, all right? The first guy we're going to talk about is Joe Smith. There's some pictures of Joe. And the saying here is, si se puede. Who speaks Spanish in here? What does it mean? Yes, we can. Does that sound familiar to you? Why does that sound familiar to you? The Disney Channel. That's good. Please. You're out of here. I can't help you in an hour, okay? Yes, we can. Obama, thank you very much, all right? In fact, we're going to show you the connection how Obama came to do this, all right? This is not an accident. Joe grew up in Rock Island, Illinois, born in July 1949. Rock Island's West End, right here. And Ambrose is up there under the SAU. So he's a guy from the area. Oh, don't do this to me. Oops. I went to St. Joe's Parish in grade school at St. Joe's. It's not there anymore. You go off the Centennial Bridge. You have been over the Centennial Bridge, yes? Who hasn't been over the Centennial Bridge? Good, that's a good sign, all right? Because we're going to send you on a road trip afterwards just to drive over the bridge. It used to be at the bottom of the bridge on the right-hand side. Now it's a jail. Although some people that went to St. Joe's grade school thought it was then a jail as well. And then he went on to Alleman High School. Picture of Alleman. How many Pioneer alums are here? 1, 2. Some oldie alums over here. Okay. So 2. All right. This is 2 Pioneer alums. All right. Very good. He's a Pioneer alum. All right. So you can feel comfortable with that. All right. Joe was here from 1967 to 1971. I want to talk about his intellectual and student influences. I want to talk about him as an organizer and leader here. Joe was concerned about 4 primary issues when he was here. He was really deeply interested in student power and student responsibility and decision making. I think that's going to be an interesting issue. Both of my guys were interested in that. Where's Tim Phillips? Yeah. We were joking with each other about this. Yes, Tim? Okay, good. Fundamentally, one of the most effective anti-war organizers on campus during this period. Very interested in civil rights, poverty issues. And ultimately, he came to be deeply interested in the plight of the United Farm Workers under the leadership of Cesar Chavez out in California during this period of time. How many people know who Cesar Chavez is? Raise your hands. That's pretty good. Not bad. Not bad. And then finally, we want to just take a little bit. For his senior year, Joe ran the newspaper in those days called the Paper Sack. Yeah, it's much cleverer than the Buzz, I think. But that's just me. I met Joe as a student here for the first time in August of '67. And the other gentleman we're going to talk about today is John Kiley. I also met John Kiley in August of '67 here as well. Joe and I met in class. At the time, he had just come onto campus. He had a relatively undistinguished high school career in any way you want to look at it. He wasn't an academic star. He wasn't an athletic star. He wasn't any kind of star. All right? He was just an average Joe. Okay? But when he got here, something changed. When he got here, something opened up. He came into contact with people and activities that set him on fire. And from then on, in some ways, he was never the same. And so Joe and I came here and got introduced early on. And within, sometimes you meet people and right away you're instantaneously connected with this person. Like that, yes? It's like, it leads you to believe in reincarnation. We know that's crap, but it still leads you to believe in that. Because somehow I know this person from before, and with Joe it was like that. With John it was not like that. John and I were this long, slow, 40-year dance. But Joe and I, instantaneous connection. And within a week, we were organizing anti-war protests on campus together. Handing out leaflets, raising issues in class, protesting at the Federal Building. It took us about a week. Gathering people together. There were already people here doing it. They're not here today. Some of them were already here as students. We hooked up with some juniors and seniors and put together some anti-war stuff immediately. And so that's how we got started. As a student, and this goes for John as well, liberal arts background. Joe was a literature, political science, and philosophy guy. Very interested in knowledge as liberation. Knowledge not so he could get a better job. I say this to people now, it makes no sense to you. But this is what things were like. not one time, not one time, not one time, not one time did he think about what kind of job he was going to have after college. It wasn't on the radar. Not one time, not one time, not one time did I think about what kind of job I was going to have after college. It wasn't on the radar. I'm not giving you geezer bullshit here, okay? They were here because they wanted to learn, not because they were going to get a better job. And so Joe and John too saw knowledge as liberation, self-development, and to gain power themselves in order to change the way things were. So you went to class hoping to learn something that would give you an edge so that you could go out and make changes. And those courses that weren't teaching you that, you were all over those professors. In class, out of class, in print, in their face. Make this relevant. You might suspect that this earned you the animosity of some of the faculty. And you would be correct. You would be correct. Joe was the kind of guy, John was not, but Joe was. You either liked Joe Smith very much, or you did not like Joe Smith at all. There was no middle ground. He made you choose. He made you choose. The other influence on Joe was the Gospels. Joe was a deeply religious person. And he took much of his motivation and inspiration from the Gospels. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and Bob Dylan. And not necessarily in that order. It depended upon what was going on. Some days it was Dylan and forget the other four guys. He had an uncanny knack of quoting Dylan in almost every situation, didn't he? He could quote Dylan at the drop of a hat, and it fit the circumstance you were in. It was weird. It was weird. He was always channeling Dylan. Who was he influenced by when he was here? He was influenced by these five guys. Matt McMahon from the Political Science Department. Matt McMahon was at the end of his career, still a powerhouse. Unbelievable in class. Great man. Great man. I'm trying not to get too emotional, all right? So I have to pause occasionally. Wayne DeJohn, History Department. Great man. He died in what, 92? Died in 92. His wife died 2 weeks ago. They were pillars of social change in the Quad Cities. You can read her tribute and obituary in the Quad City Times, I think last week, a few days ago. Just Google Quad City Times. Her name is Nora DeJohn. Okay? And if the young women in here don't do that, shame on you. Shame on you. You want to be a leader? Google Nora DeJohn, Quad City Times online. See what this woman did. Okay? Together they were a powerful force in town. On campus, quiet, thoughtful, reserved, powerful man. Most of us were influenced by them. As a couple, and as each of them as individuals. Father Jack Smith, founder of the Quad Cityans for Peace, a force on campus, a man in town who changed so many things, and nobody knows who he is. Nobody knows who he is. Shame on us at Ambrose for not having the Father Jack Smith building someplace and doing more for him. They're all dead. Two guys that are not dead are Father Bill Dawson. Does anybody know Father Dawson? Yes? He's awesome. Awesome Dawson. Yeah, that's good. Nice job. Father Dawson is now retired. He's still on campus. If you don't know Father Dawson, if you've not met Father